me you have notes on this excellent movie that has a lot going on in it.
Yeah, especially since it's my movie that I picked, and I'm gonna have to like talk about it a lot. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be sure I had my thoughts, and more than anything, it's not about like diversifying my extended thoughts on it. It's about compressing them into a thing that doesn't rob the whole fucking...
the film of its power.
Not even that. I'm just saying taking up the whole fucking podcast.
Oh.
Because I could go on, and I had to put it into, like, these are the chunks I'm going to present this in, you know what I mean?
I mean, typically, you know, the movie of discussion should take up the majority of the podcast, ideally.
No, sure, but you know.
Are you ready to talk about sports, Evie?
Yeah, I guess.
I ask you specifically because I feel like out of the group here, me and you are the most people with any kind of insight into sports in general. How y'all been doing? Weekend been treating you good so far?
Yeah, it's been fine. It's been quiet. The snow is finally starting to melt because like it really came down on Thursday.
Oh yeah, I saw some video of a streamer I follow taking a walk with their dog, a samoyed, and it is one of the most joyous videos that I've ever seen. It's really beautiful, and this person lives in Texas. I always forget that it can snow in areas of the country that are not like the north chunk of it. It's very, very weird as a person originally from Southern California.
There was a whole thing a few years ago where like there was like a cold shock in Texas and like the area wasn't ready for it and like people were like freezing.
Yeah, it was like bad. That was the shit that like people thought like, oh yeah, Ted Cruz is gonna get fucking elected out because of like how bad
his response was. It was to it.
Yeah. Because he like out in like fucking Cancun or something like while
he was
that
on
was
vacation, motherfucker.
Fuck Ted Cruz.
What an asshole.
He's legitimately one of the worst.
Absolutely. But in speaking of joyous things, my sister, she has two dogs. She has like one big, big goofy dog and like one little yappy dog. The big goofy dog, she sent pictures of him just like frolicking like majestically through the snow, and the little dog was just like cowering under the trampoline trying to stay away from the snow.
Oh my goodness.
That is truly precious.
Very cute.
Oh gosh. How
Double
about you,
fucks.
Bridget? Double fuck. Oh, gobble fuck.
Gobble does not fuck. I have to say, no. I don't think he fucks. They fuck.
I don't want to imagine Gubble fucking. I think that's the big thing. I don't want to know what he looks like below the waist.
A real Germa moment of like being like, this says Gubble fucks, and I'm like, what? No, it says Gubble rocks. It just looks. It looks very close to saying Gubble fucks.
I couldn't see anything else in that image.
I mean, to be fair, it's also a barely discernible image. Yeah. Like, if you're able to make out letters, it's going to be, like, either fucks or rocks, if you can read anything in it.
I guess so.
Why are we talking about Gubble?
That's a very good question.
Do you want to...
Because it was put out in the UK by Midas, the great publisher of...
They had some video games.
Yeah, they did.
The Midas touch means something very different where they come from.
People might be more familiar with Midas as the publishers of various Dingo Pictures games.
I don't know what that means, actually.
Oh, you do.
Dingo Pictures are those motherfuckers who make the fake Disney
Animal World Soccer.
I thought that was D3.
No.
A different European publisher.
No. Okay. Also, D3 is not a European publisher. But...
I know. I'm just saying.
And to close the circle on this whole thing, Bridget did a stream where she was just playing Midas games, and one of those was Gubble,
which was truly magical.
Yeah, a
solid,
slightly bizarre puzzle game.
that we discovered like somehow got a re-release on Steam like back in 2020, which led to the discovery of a screenshot that is featured on that page that is some like screenshot from the game of a level that's supposed to say Gubble Rocks, but it looks like Gubble Fucks. Anyways, this is not a podcast about Gubble, nor is it a podcast about video games this time. This is a podcast that is now officially about anime.
Ugh, God damn it.
What reviews connected by cast or crew, deciding the next film, that's the gist. Put it on the list.
Hi, everyone.
Hey!
Welcome to Put It on the List.
Welcome.
A queer movie podcast where every time we gather here today, we discuss a movie, and the next selection in the cycle has to be connected by either cast or crew. Last time on Put It on the List, we discussed The Garden of Sinners, Paradox Spiral, and from there, Bree took us to the first slam dunk, which, goddamn.
Yeah, there's gonna be so much
The
to say
first
when we get
fucking
into it.
slam dunk.
Yeah, oh my
is
god, this film.
A hell of a fucking movie. However, first we have to introduce people.
Yes,
Hi,
we
my
do.
name is Jay, and you are,
My name is Bree.
and you are.
I'm Evie.
And lastly,
I'm Bridget, and I'll be right back because I forgot to bring my water.
well, while she's bringing water, Evie, been up to anything else since the last time we gathered here on this fine podcast?
Still looking for jobs.
You got an interview lined up.
I
at
do,
the very
I
least,
do.
So.
I have an interview lined up in like a week and a half, which is
Ugh.
torturous. I can't believe they do that to
Ugh.
people.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
But yeah, I'm still grinding away at that. But otherwise, I'm just like kicking it.
You're being,
right up.
you're waiting for your car to thaw still.
Yeah.
It's,
there's like a cold weather a series of cold weather moving through my area, and so my car froze up as it was kind of rolling through.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it is starting to like warm up a little bit. So
Did you test out the car today, or are you at the point right now where you're like, I'm just not gonna bother for like another week?
Well, I'm just gonna like that'll be on my to-do list for tomorrow.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Bridget, what you been up to since the last time we gathered here?
I'm trying to think. We finished Madoka Punch.
We've started Princess Jellyfish, which hell of a show. Well, started for Evie for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else here has seen it before, but
We do love it here.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why next time, me and Evie need to show you Frerin, finally.
probably. I know I will like that show. That show just strikes me as like I need to be in a specific like mood.
It's
For-
one of those
for that
things
one.
where that mood aspect is only like maybe like the first couple of episodes before it sets into a real normal groove, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Like,
I'll go in with my good time hat on.
It's not like emotionally heavy every single episode. It's just the beginning.
For sure. I got it. So aside from Mayonaka Punch, what else?
I am 2 episodes into Girls Band Cry.
Oh, how's that? I've been wondering about that one.
It seems neat so far. It's helped. It's a bunch of adults, and the main character is a high school dropout.
Oh, wow.
So it's
I am a
definitely
college dropout, just fully like fell out of the K-12 program.
Actually,
Yeah,
the coolest kind of person you can be.
yeah.
What?
What?
Real baddie, real like yeah, cool kids, don't yeah.
I don't know
consider
all of my
her-
grade school math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know how the
wouldn't
fuck
consider
that
her
passed.
on the cool team. Her friend seems more of that character just because she literally keeps flipping off every person she meets. And
Hell
in
yeah.
fact, on her guitar is signed in black letters, put your middle fingers up.
All right. Talk about something that has really lost its edge since we
middle
were
finger?
kids.
Yeah.
Like throwing up a middle finger. It's like, dog, come on.
People in John Carpenter's The Thing PS2 would do that to me.
We're not going to talk about that. That game already got its spotlight in the Game of the Year
I know.
episode.
That's fair, yeah.
We don't need to dive any deeper on the
How
thing.
come you're never like Evie? Let's watch girls band cry together.
You're like, Evie, let's watch The Lost Village.
Let's watch
Evie,
Shiki.
That's why I was offered Princess Jellyfish. Like, I heard you took her through Shiki, then you tried taking her through dumb garbage things.
Gramblem is not dumb garbage.
What was that?
Gramblem is not dumb garbage.
Okay. It's trashy though, isn't it?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something different then.
Wait,
I'm
I
sorry.
asked how my day was.
We're still discussing her day.
Okay, all right, I thought we just went entirely into a discussion on anime. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm
kind of, but
all right.
Oh, excuse me for talking about anime on this apparently anime podcast.
We're a movie podcast. We just happen to be an anime podcast lately because of the movies we're picking.
because of choices.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
Because of choices, that's a way to put it, yeah.
But yeah, then you showed her The Lost Village, and I was like, I have a fun show that's actually a good show, not a dumb good show like Lost Village is with Princess Jellyfish.
To answer your question, Evie, I just tend to watch things to see if they're good. And I've heard enough good things about Girl Band Cry that I thought I would check it out.
But you don't want to take her on that journey with you? That's her big point that she's trying to make.
Yeah,
is that
We can watch Girl Band Cry together if you want.
I mean, I don't want to impose or anything.
what if we were both girls and we watched Girl Band Cry together?
It's I like Bocchi the Rock. I like shows where girls have a band.
Yeah.
And cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. They cry.
Those are all very fair points, Bridget. Anything besides that going on, Bridget?
New anime season started and there's pretty much zilch.
Sounds about typical, I feel.
I feel like there's at least one show I can truly connect with in some level, even as a...
But remember who you're talking to. You're talking to the pickiest of eaters who watches a new anime once a year, basically. While she's looking things up, Bree, what have you been up to?
Well, man, more than anything, between streaming and artwork and stuff like that, I'm more excited about this morning, wherein I decided I'm going to try out a new boba tea place today, and I got to meet and pet a corgi named Tugger, and he was the cutest little thing ever. And I just got in a really great conversation with the family of Tugger, and just talking with them and chatting. It was a really friendly place, and the people who work there are awesome, and I'm going to visit there more. It's a really, really great little cafe, and it was a nice little kind of... I needed to connect with humans, because I don't know, I've been having some cabin fever lately. I've been kind of shut in with both my professional, creative, and relaxing taking place in one place.
Sure.
That gets to you.
Yeah.
You know that one well. And it is one of those things where, I was glad I got out. Glad I got out this morning. Did some shopping, got some boba. That was my brunch. That's where I'm at in my life, I guess. And yeah, it's good stuff. Good morning. I'm having a great time.
Bridget, what's happening on your end here?
Oh,
Tugger's a
nothing.
great name for a corgi. Just wanted to
Isn't
say
it
that for me.
great?
Yeah.
It's just whenever I hear Cabin Fever, I think of Muppets Treasure Island.
I know
the
you
Cabin
do.
Fever song.
I know.
I think of the film Cabin Fever.
Nah. I mean, if I'm thinking about that, then I'm thinking about the kid in front of the drugstore who starts doing kung fu for no reason in Cabin Fever. And that's the only thing I think of from that movie. The one good thing that Eli Roth has ever produced in his career in cinema. Truly one of...
The one thing I was going to say is Girls Band Cry is also toy animation.
Oh, that would explain why that show actually looks good. Yeah. All right then. That is the checkup. And from there, are y'all ready for what few icebreaker questions we have
Yeah,
this
what do we
time
got?
around. Hi, listeners. Please follow us on social media. That's putitontheList.bsky.social and send us icebreaker questions. We're running low, and we are being followed in mass by sex bots on that website.
And they're not very good at like posting questions.
Oh my god. So on Blue Sky with the Put on the List account, I followed like a couple of starter packs for like shit posters and stuff like that, just because I was like, oh yeah, let's follow more stuff, like maybe get like, you know, networking going with other content creators.
With other creatives.
Sure, that's the better way to put it. With
Please.
other creatives. Thank you.
We're not using the word content in 2025.
But anyways, so I follow a couple of starter packs, and literally as soon as I do that, it's like a switch got flipped, and like we went from like 30 followers on there to like 250, and I'm willing to bet like a solid 90% of that is all fake people, because I would look at the notifications and it would be all like 20 variations on the same user and username. Like I could look at their profile pictures and some of them were duplicates or just a different angle on the same person.
A different angle, slightly tilted head, the same image flipped, both of them Jennifer. It is like, what the fuck, man? People aren't real on the internet anymore. I see where solipsism comes from, because right now, like, we're in a weird time.
Suffice it to say, real people listening to this show, please follow us on social media. Please.
We should. Do we have an email address?
wifecitygaming@gmail.com.
Sure. Okay.
Is where you can also send questions to. You can find us at Wife City Productions on youtube.com.gov. We have a question here we have a couple of comments that we've received in the interim. One from Owen IRL on Blue Sky, who says, wait, why am I the Turok guy? It was one Turok game, and it was a Game Boy Color spin-off of an N64 multiplayer-only game.
Someone's got to be the Turok guy. I don't want to be the Turok guy.
He's got a different option for you there, Evie. Save the term Turok guy for the guy who named his child Turok, or maybe the child of the guy who named his child Turok. Thank
you for the question.
That's a good point.
I said comment, I didn't say question.
No, I know.
And then we have another one from Dusty Stars on Blue Sky, who says,
hey, Dusty.
Why am I now thinking about Shiki? It is 2025.
You're gonna have to bring that up with Bridget.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take that up with her more than anything.
I'm sorry. You like The Lost Village, right, Evie?
Yeah, that's been fun.
I mean, I guess in your defense, Bridget, I'm taking Evie through Princess Jellyfish, which is an equally old show. That's like a 2011 jam there.
I guess in my perspective, I'm like, oh, nobody has seen this show as well. I want to share this with my friend. Everybody's seen Princess Jellyfish. Nobody's seen The Lost Village.
What are you fucking talking about?
Okay. My circles, like in like deep circles, anyways.
Okay. The freaks that are aware of what the Noitamina block was back in the day.
That's right, Fractile. Everyone's favorite.
Noitamina backwards is animation. For the people that don't know. Noitamina,
it was a special block created for mature,
adult-oriented animation.
Not kid stuff.
Not in that kind of way, but in an actual,
it's not just Pac-Man anymore.
Yeah.
But in an actual, like, no, we want stuff that's not, like, just shonen, like, garbage.
Eventually that fell through with the inclusion of Guilty Crown, which is considered one of the worst animes here.
What did The Crown itself do?
There's no way Guilty Crown is considered one of the worst anime series. I feel like there's dozens of shows worse than Guilty Crown. Or do you mean like on the Noitamina block specifically?
Definitely on the Noitanima block, although eventually it just kind of fizzled out and became whatever.
Anyways, we're falling into anime discussions again. Sorry.
Shiki is still relevant because it's a loose adaptation of Salem's Lot, and Salem's Lot is relevant.
Well, actually, Shiki is relevant because it was on Noitanima.
Oh,
it's relevant now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That is a Noitanima show. It ran on the same block as Princess Jellyfish.
I legitimately did not remember that.
Oh.
But anyways, those are the comments we've received.
Awesome.
Thank you for your comments. We have not received any questions in the interim, so we're gonna dig through old ones that we got like back in the co-host days.
Sure.
We have a question here from Owen IRL who says, a lot of people will say they avoid or don't like certain movie genres like musicals or horror. Are there any genres that you generally avoid or at least have to really be sold on a film in a certain genre before you'll watch it?
Musicals and rom-coms are the big ones. That's like...
Rom-coms are like the hardest
Yeah.
sell.
Like that's the most, like, usually milquetoast at best is just mediocre. At worst is, Adam Sandler. Like, there's just really bad ones out there.
More than anything, it's
And they're
just...
so straight.
That was gonna be the thing that I said, is more than anything, like, us as a queer group, we look at those and we're just like, this is just like heteronormative garbage. There's like nothing actually interesting in this dynamic between these characters here.
Yeah, like if you point me towards a T for T rom-com, and I would I would watch that immediately. That sounds great.
Yeah, that'd be so good.
But it's
Wacky
also
lesbian hour rom-com live-action movie when?
Like, that's the closest thing you got to like a good rom-com is like the wacky
Shout-outs to
Keith Stack. Shout-outs Keith Stack.
Hey,
it's like
we like your stuff.
That's the weird thing. It's like I feel like rom-coms, like I don't think we're actually hard sells for rom-coms. It's just they have to be rom-coms that actually like address us in any way.
Well, in a decent way.
Yeah.
We'll say.
Rom-coms that aren't about
Yeah,
like all the awful in-laws or...
Yeah, but rom-coms really is like the only real answer. I feel like
I want to like musicals. I want to believe, but like I can't.
What do you feel like you run into with musicals that like pushes you away with those?
There's a feeling that they can be. I went to a production of Hairspray. And that was like live theater, and like that was great. I had a great time watching that. But like taken out of like that live environment, it's like a packaged, processed version of something that like is delicious when you eat it fresh.
I could see that.
Oh, go ahead, Bridget.
I was gonna say, it really sucks that nobody has made like a good version of Les Mis with the music in it, other than the actual stage play, because the recent movie adaptation is fucking god awful. But like the only good Les Mis movie is the one where the music is taken out.
I also like that The Miserables, as it translates to, just sounds like a sitcom.
That's right. Jane and Jim in The Miserables. I hate my life.
You wouldn't translate it as
news.
Miserables. You would just translate it as The Miserable.
No, you're tying the noose wrong. But yeah, it's.
So I feel like another part of like the musical thing is specifically what you kind of lose there in translation from like stage theater productions into like a movie production is with theater, there is that like interaction, like live interaction between the audience and the performers that you like just don't really get when it's a film. because I also saw a live production of Hairspray at some point when I was young, and there's like a key memory about that like drilled into my brain where like one of the performers at a certain point like flubbed a line, and like some of the audience like laughed at them, and the performer like responded in kind to the audience, like improv in the moment there. And like you can't get that.
You can't.
Like there, because theater is like a live in the moment thing, there's always going to be that interaction going on there that you just don't get out of film.
And very much like when with you like watching a live performance, the worst live performances are the ones that are those weirdly prepackaged, like we're just playing the track and you can tell they're lip syncing, because like the variations, the mistakes, the differences that come with how you do that live is part of that performance. It's part of like, you know, why you would want to listen to like a live recording of something. It's not just to have a crowd screaming over it. It's because you want to, like, how are you getting into it? How are you showing this like live, doing this in like a slightly more organic way? There's something to that.
Yeah.
And it's something beautiful that I guess is just kind of tamped down with that, where it's like, that was the initial intention, but now you've just do it not that, you know?
And then the other thing you kind of get into is that, like, when you're turning it into film, you're essentially just banking on the idea that the thing that's going to pull the people in is, like, the sing-along quality of, like, the musical that you have created. And as a result, you get stuff that ends up feeling more corny, because you can tell, like, okay, this is supposed to be like the ballad, this is supposed to be the sad contemplative song, this is supposed to be like the anthem that gets like everyone like singing along into it.
You can just see the machine going
Yeah.
Okay, we got it all processed, send it out.
Every single time I've seen the Cats movie, I think it really has lived up to expectations in a way that the stage production couldn't possibly do.
Well, that is a different kind of special. I'm sure at some point or another, Bridget, you or me will pull the trigger on that movie, and we will have to discuss it. So I don't want to go into too much details about the Cats movie.
Evie, do you like Little Shop of Horrors?
I like it okay. It's been a long time since I watched it.
Because that's one of those where, because of the practical effects in it, it really like enhances it in a way that a stage production couldn't do.
I could see that.
And I think that's, returning to Cats for a moment, I think that's probably like part of like what the mindset they had when making that new Cats movie is just like, no, we could do some wild shit with this. They went too ham.
They went way too ham.
They did too much with it.
I can't wait until like 20 years down the road when
I'm sorry,
it's okay. The subject of Cats the film 2019 is it's inherently funny. I can't wait until that movie gets like a cultural reevaluation in like 15 to 20 years, and people are just like, oh yeah, they were cooking with this one.
Oh God,
it's got that vibe. I feel it.
I can feel it too.
I was
Bridget.
gonna say that I knew that Cats was gonna be bad on some level because it was the director who did that shitty Les
The
Mis.
Les Mis one, yeah.
Oh boy.
But here's the thing. I've seen clips of that Les Mis movie. I want to watch that Les Mis movie. Like, that ends up being the weird thing, is that director is bad in, like, very fascinating ways to me, where I want to watch his failures.
The Les Mis has a very particular bad quality where every single musical section is the character looking straight at the screen, walking forward and walking back, and that's it.
God.
But I find that to be very interesting as a choice. Like, that's why I want to watch it. Does anyone else have other genres.
I need to rewatch Chicago at some point to see if that holds up.
I've never seen it.
I don't avoid comedies, but they can be contentious depending on like what their idea of comedy is.
Yeah.
And the humanity of people who aren't like, you know, cishet.
Sure.
Cishet white people, you know.
Well, I mean, it falls under that same umbrella of like rom-com stuff where it's
But
like...
I mean, like, some of those can be like, why do you think this is funny? Oh, are you being edgy? Oh, you have a racist character. That's cute. This sucks. You know, like...
Comedy's so subjective, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's gonna be...
Comedy is like...
Yeah, somebody can really like Kung Pao, like on a personal level, when it doesn't hit other people as hard.
Listen, I don't need you to do a direct call out on me. But no, I mean, the other thing you run into with comedies is they just don't make comedies anymore. Like,
You can't make comedies anymore.
it's partially that, or
There's
at
also
least
nothing to
that
laugh at.
It's not so much that you know
Sure.
they can't actually make comedies anymore. It's more that studios are all like afraid to make comedies because all of the major comedy writers know how to do is like punch down. Like that. If we're being
Well,
realistic
there's
about
been a
it,
recent
like,
comedy movie that people seem to like.
Which one?
Wallace and Gromit, A Murder Most Foul.
I would like to watch that at some point.
yeah.
I remember liking that at those. I never saw like the films, but like I saw like, you know, the earlier films that were like released on like, you know, VHS as a kid.
What?
But I didn't see like the Were
shorts.
Rabbit thing.
Yeah.
I didn't see
The
the,
shorts.
you know, I didn't see the Shorn movie. I didn't really care enough to. But yeah, I saw like, you know, The Wrong Trousers and like, you know, the Robot Moon one and the other one with the penguin. But yeah,
I mean,
you know, it's
the key difference there is like that is a like family comedy. They still make family comedies, but they don't make like adult comedies anymore because of the thing
The
that I
Bob's
said.
Burgers movie.
But also, like, that is... Like, the thing about Wallace and Gromit is also, like, it is the next work of that specific guy, right? So like there's like a weird auteur sort of element to it, just like here's the guy who is somehow still doing claymation in 2025.
yeah. Someone's got to do it.
But yeah, so it's the combination of, for adult-oriented comedies, they are afraid to make those because all major comedy writers know how to do is punch down, and also comedies just don't make money anymore is the real big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
the
could
funniest
just like
people are in my computer posting dumb shit who have no like major fucking like production, you know, capabilities. Like there are funny people, and you can make funny adult-oriented things that don't punch down, but the people who make it at that level don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
They just
they tried.
don't.
They tried putting a poster into a Disney movie and it didn't go anywhere. So
Which one is that?
wasn't a Twitter person in like that Strange Journey, that Strange World movie?
I have no idea.
Whatever.
I don't even know which movie you're talking about, if I'm honest.
I know what you're talking about, Evie. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you. I
You
think
at
like
home know what they're talking about?
That
Comment
movie's
below,
okay.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
take
very
your word
funny
on
Yeah.
there's a very funny bit in that movie about like how instead of going on the adventure, the kid has to stay behind and play a board game, and it's a genre of jokes about board games that makes me laugh because like, haha, I've lived that.
Me too.
Yeah, just like, oh yeah, there are too many rules and it's very boring. But to segue into our major topic of discussion, I feel like another genre that can be hard to get into is anything related to sports.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it can be hard if you're someone who is not like into sports to thinking that a film I watched recently was, this is the best basketball movie I've ever seen in my life. And then I tried to remember what other basketball movies I've seen, and it was just like Semi-Pro and Air Bud. It's just like, hold on.
Don't
Wait
forget
a second.
Space Jam.
I was about to say, don't forget
Space Jam.
Space Jam.
So
Are you sure
I'm,
you don't want me to forget Space Jam?
I'm curious,
Just
Evie,
forget
are you
Space
talking?
Jam too.
Evie, talking about that, are you saying more so from like an outside perspective, or like you personally struggle with like sports movies in particular?
I do, because it's another thing where I want to enjoy it, because like I feel like narrativizing what happens in sports is like that's the thing. That's what like what writing I enjoy, or like nonfiction stuff I enjoy about sports. That's what it gets at. But it can be hard to find the movie that does that. Sorry, Bree.
Oh, sure. And like that's the other thing too with this kind of stuff. It's like I've only recently started getting into things that talk about it. You can hear the dog drinking water behind me. I've only recently gotten into like watching things about sports because like it is that story that matters. I have no background, understanding, or care of any of the teams that do sports in real life, but Hajime no Ippo, his story of like learning about this thing and wanting to get good at it as he finds this thing that he develops an interest in and growing as a character and getting stronger, and like his whole story is amazing. And then you get into like, you know, if you do know the stories behind like certain, you know, stuff. We watched those like what do you call those, John Boys videos?
No, yeah,
where, like he talks about like these
that.
like he shows these graphs and tells these hilarious stories of these like fumbles and these like bad directions that things took on teams. And it's when you get like a well presented narrative, you can like see how this is fascinating, but the stories are more fascinating than the sport itself.
It's not even so much like, because I think sports movies are an easier sell for me because like I love sports conceptually. However, like engaging in the actual like rigmarole of like watching a game is just like a killer to my ADHD. Like, I'm
same.
just like, I can't sit. Like, baseball is one of the most torturous experiences.
I don't give a shit about baseball.
Is one of the most torturous experiences that I've ever had in my life. But like, I can watch the John Boy's video about like, okay, what if Barry Bonds didn't have a bat? Like the statistic breakdown of like just how good he was in his career, that like on pure intimidation alone, he could have like still been one of the best players like to ever live in the game.
Pretty good. Shark Party. Funny videos, you know?
No, yeah, but it is the skill of the storyteller, both in the way that they are like speaking on the thing, and also how they bring that story to you, like how they like are able to craft it in a way that like does that like build up and release of tension just right.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, that all comes down to writing and direction, because a lot of sports stories, a lot of sports anime does miss me. A lot of it just doesn't really hit that, you know?
Well, I mean, you also haven't watched much in the way of sports anime.
I haven't, but you know what? Some of the stuff I'm seeing, I'm liking. So that's... Okay. I'm slowly getting open to it. That's why I figured I would like this, because, you know, loved Ippo, and after hearing how apparently amazing this was before we got to sit down and watch it, I was like... And I didn't even know. We'll get into it. But it was like, yeah, I figured this is probably going to be good too, and fuck is it ever.
Anyways, what were you going to say, Bridget, Evie?
I feel like boxing inherently has more appeal than a normal sports anime because it is effectively just a fighting show.
It's battle, yeah. So that's fair.
Versus an Ice Shield 21 or a Slam Dunk, which Ice Shield 21.
A deal of Ice Shield 21, though.
Ice Shield 21 is great.
There are plenty of good baseball animes. There are one-outs. If you wanted really like the main character to be a scum, like imagine if Kaiji was into baseball, except actually no, it would be Akagi. He's more of an Akagi in baseball. In terms of doing baseball gambling,
a real Pete Rose figure.
Sure. I'm gonna pretend I know who you're talking about.
Pete Rose was a famous baseball player in the late 20th century.
Oh, the guy who like bet on himself.
Who was banned because he was betting on himself. Anyway, we referred to it as this a couple of times. What's this movie that we're discussing today?
Yeah, Bree, give us your cursory rundown of Slam Dunk. Give it to me in a paragraph.
I feel like I have reduced it substantially enough to get the base idea across. So, Basically, the first Slam Dunk, it's like the last story apparently of like the manga that's based on. An underdog high school basketball team is taking on this undefeated team. Our protagonist team is virtually 20 points behind, and they need to make a major reversal happen if they want to recover from this setback. And as we watch the match unfold, we keep going back and forth in time, learning about like his older brother, who wanted to be a big basketball star and make it to that point that he's at, and take on this terrifyingly renowned team. And unfortunately, his older brother died in a fishing boat accident. So he is like trying so hard to like exact this dream that he also had, like especially like for him as well. It's
I feel
what
like
a goddamn.
There's an even more cursory summary that you can do. It's the underdog story. It is the classic.
That doesn't say enough for this.
Well, but that's the thing about a cursory summary is it does like gives you a like really simple rundown.
Don't criticize my description. This is my movie. like you just go, oh yeah. My thing is like an action movie. I mean, no, you don't. Shut up. Fuck you.
There are multiple like sports movies about we got the ragtag team that nobody thinks is gonna amount to everything.
But yeah, there's more like emotional weight than that to this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is like the sports movie. It's like the underdog team, but
sometimes it's the Airbud team.
Bad joke. I'm giving you a thumbs down for that one. But like I was shocked to find out that this was an adaptation of the last story arc in Slam Dunk.
Yeah, same.
Because like it strikes me as like the ending of just a story arc. Like this strikes me as like you are in the middle of like a tournament arc or something like that. It has that feel to it more than anything. But like Bridget told us at the end of the movie, like, no, that's the end of the manga. And I was like, fucking what? How did this movie so masterfully like encapsulate, like give each of their characters such, like manage to truncate down its characters so well that you more or less got like what each one of them was like about, like just in the span of like 2 hours. Like
it catches you up. Like it gives you everything you need to know in a way that doesn't feel rushed or forced. It just creates this like perfect narrative for everyone in that one film.
Well, here's the way they did it. It's directed by the fucking mangaka. Is the thing. Takehiko Inoue? That's his full name, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, it is the first movie that he has directed. He's a longtime manga author, and Slam Dunk was like his first thing, right, Bridget?
Maybe.
If not first, it's like his first major success as a manga artist that he ever had.
Apparently beforehand he did Chameleon Jail.
Okay. But it is his first like major success of a manga series. It went on for like 31 volumes. And he was very much one of those artists that you got to see the growth of over the course of that series. Like you look at like the comparisons of like the beginning of that manga versus the end of it, and it's like astronomically different in the quality of his art. Bridget?
That's basic. That is something that is always interesting with long running things like the Jump stuff. Like, you know, just read the opening chapters of One Piece and how different.
Oh, sure.
The
art is from where it is now. But I feel like it's really fucking important to like spend time talking about like Inoue's like the length of his career and his growth as an artist, because you fucking feel how much talent that man has in him for his art. In just the like, you could show stills from this movie and it's like it is an actual every frame a painting ass like shit happening in there. Like for me, like I spent the first like 10 minutes of this movie like just slack-jawed at the details of like the backgrounds in that film. Like there are shots with Ryota. He's our main character for the movie. He's the point guard of the Shohoku basketball team, and it's showing his like childhood growing up in Okinawa with his brother Sota, and like his brother like has a little like alcove that he goes to hide out in, and there's this shot of Ryota like running along the beach heading to that alcove like on the cliffside, and it is so gorgeous. It is like
the man brought to like full color life his insanely ornately detailed backgrounds that he illustrates for manga. Like you can look at a concrete wall and tell how old and moist in the bubbles it is from the rain. See the scuffs and nicks on the wood lining of their old worn-in home. It's fucking insane.
It's fucked up how good it looks. Like the level, like that was. I was looking at like the water fountain that they were like drinking from on the basketball court, and you see like the little scores and like little pockmarks in the like cement that it's built from, and you're just like, dog, what the fuck? How did you do this?
You skipped no fucking detail and made every frame a fucking masterpiece. You madman.
Like and here's the thing. They're able to do it because one, it's Toei Animation, who's like the Disney of Japan, and two, it's based on one of the most like iconic like Shonen Jump series of all time.
The series like dates back to the 90s, right? So.
Bridget, what are you laughing about over there?
Toei is notorious for being cheap.
But it's a Toei movie. Specifically,
they are notorious for being cheap. It doesn't
but they
matter if something is really popular. They skimp out on Dragon Ball Z. They're fucking premiere.
But I feel like here's the thing. I feel like the argument could be made that they know they are notoriously cheap, but that's because they know where to spend their money at. Like,
well, I guess it wasn't Sailor Moon.
No,
not.
But like, you can look at something like the One Piece TV production, where like, the majority of One Piece on television looks like shit, but the fight scenes, like, you look at some of the animation on that, and it's like, they put the fucking money in on that key detail. So like, don't get me wrong. I know that Toei is notoriously cheap. I'm just saying that they had to have like dumped some level of significant money into this movie with how unreal it looks.
I feel like Inoue might have had like some kind of contractual, like, a lot of say-so in how this was going to be executed, maybe
that's
maybe in the same way that like, with like, wow, the live One Piece was actually pretty decent. Oh, right, because like the person calling the shots,
they brought Oda on
is the guy. So it's like, well,
Evie has a thing to say.
Well, according to Wikipedia, so the ancient scrolls, so take it with a grain of salt. A producer from Toei like suggested that Inoue be the one to write and direct the movie because like he knew the characters best. Inoue began working on the script for this movie in January 2015, and like they've been
wow.
They started working on the motion capture in 2018. Now, granted, the pandemic probably did a lot in terms of like extending the length of the production of this movie, but it's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, that's a solid seven years of production there. But no, it's the other part of like that first 10 minutes that gets you is like, it's not just like the background art, but like it's the anime, it is the mocap.
Yeah.
And just how... Yes, Bridget.
I just want to note that they got a, outside company for the background art and all that stuff.
Really? I mean...
Was it to his design, though?
Yeah, I
mean,
was gonna say, I imagine it had to have like been based off of like sketches.
Because it looks
Yeah.
like his
Inoue
sketches.
sent.
well, yeah, you have the background fit the production.
Sure, but at that point, like it is still like Inoue still took the time to like craft those backgrounds and like put as much design as he could into it.
And I guess this just explains like how they fit the quality in when working with Toei, is they had to go to someone and be like, Toei they're not gonna make it look good here. You, so maybe that was the trade-off.
The other thing to note is that this is made by 2 studios.
Yeah, Dandelion. So I'm curious, Bridget, as the more animation like knowledgeable person, like what else has Dandelion Studios done? Because I don't recognize them.
We did actually watch another toy movie they worked on, and that is Dragon Ball Superhero.
I see. Okay. So really more than
Y'all
anything,
did. I didn't watch that.
Oh. So really more so than anything, the quality can be given towards Dandelion more so than Toei.
Toy has been honestly on the forefront of a lot of these CG things. What is it, like 10 years ago at this point? They made Ashura, which is a CG movie from an old manga about a boy who eats human flesh.
All right then.
So aside from the backgrounds, I think we
Yeah,
need to talk about like the
character
animation of the characters is. I think this might be one of the best animated things, if not the best animated thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. And one of the things that mocap fucking rotoscoping doesn't look this good. It's never looked this good. It can't. It's not supposed to. You're looking at this in slack-jawed wonder, like how the fuck, with what level of manpower necessary did they make it look this fucking good?
So
Like,
on that top, we have to kind of talk about anime's struggle with adapting to 3D animation as a reality.
yeah, there was
in
a
that
time
space.
that was really feeling it, where it was like,
It's a very story. They still, for the most part, don't fucking got it.
no, sure, but I mean, the more painful time.
Brie, the reason I'm talking about this is because, probably more so than you, Bridget and I know what early bad 3D animation trying to pair with 2D looked like.
Berserk was
I
only
saw
a few
it.
years ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. That Berserk adaptation was less than a decade ago. They still don't got that shit. The impressive thing with this movie is they use the fact. So kind of have to talk about the Uzumaki adaptation a little bit here, at the very least, the first episode of it, to talk about how the combination of 3D and 2D animation is still in a place where shit is kind of still in an uncanny valley of combination on that stuff. With the Uzumaki anime in that first episode, it utilizes that uncanniness to kind of aid the horror. The way that characters would move would feel almost otherworldly in certain scenes.
That
see
Uzumaki
how that would add to
adaptation
that.
is such a fucking heartbreaker. Oh my god, that first
Oh,
episode
God.
is so good, and then the rest of it is not. It's so sad.
One of the
It makes
greatest
me so
tragedies.
sad.
One of the greatest.
One of the
fucking
things where the
tragedies of our
creators
time.
just where the Adult Swim
Okay,
guy.
no, we can't
cannot go down this road.
We
Yeah, we
gotta stay
just
focused.
Anyway,
But I wanted to.
It's still uncanny
I was
for
still making
something
my
like-
point.
please finish. Continue.
Sorry.
I have things to say.
But the thing I was gonna talk about is the trick that this movie does with its 3D animation is all of the characters have really fucking hard outlines to their models. So instead of them feeling they are just models moving around over a 2D background, it literally makes them feel like they are characters popping off of like a page in the manga that you're reading. Like, it's so wild. It's like literal depth perception that adds to the viewing experience. Like, I don't feel like I have watched something that like hits it that hard.
The comic,
animation.
That comic outline that allows them to be, it's just thick enough that it allows them to pop over like the backgrounds and the audience for the games and stuff, and in the backdrops with all the detail around them, it allows them to pop. But I also noticed there's like a blending of like cross-hatching, like pencil cross-hatching as you would see in manga for like where the human skin is shaded, which the shading is beautiful as hell, but there's also, like, I noticed just in skin shading, there is that little bit of like manga shading in there where it's like, this looks like a comic popping out at you. It really fools the eye and makes that 3D to 2D like work so well that it's, I mean, like the jerseys too, the way that they shade those, you can
like
see the light flying off
the way the fabric moves, or like whenever they get like a swish when they shoot the ball, and you like see the like physics of the ball hitting the back of the net and pulling the rest of like the forward part of the net like with it. And it's like,
I've never seen a net not look like a weird asset, like, like, you know, kind of a...
Well, I mean, it still does kind of look like that, but it works with the movie so well. Like, it's boggles the mind how seamlessly it all flows together.
You can see the texture of the paint on the fucking hoop. Nothing is not polished to a perfection. I don't even know how to explain why. This is just like, this is anime is real life. This is just, it's so goddamn pretty. I can't shut up about it.
Yeah, like, it's, I think the reason why I keep like falling into talking about like other like anime and stuff like that is it felt like I was truly watching like a once in a lifetime like special like film when I was watching it, and I think in part that is because it was directed by Inoue. Like, there's an Akira being directed by Otomo, or Nausicaa being directed by Miyazaki, like level of like authorship to that. And I know like auteur theory is kind of bullshit, but like this is one of those cases where like I was like, no, there is something truly special in this that can only be accomplished by being handled by the original artist and direction. Like, in Inoue's career, he's kind of become known for being one of those like manga artists who's like almost meditational. Like, there's a meditational flow to his like works and layouts and everything, where like you're having these long stretches of like quiet contemplation, like gazing over these vast landscapes, and then you have those flashes of like action and drama that cut through the moment. And in the first chunk of watching this movie, I wasn't quite getting the rhythm that was happening there, but like as it like got further along, I was like, oh no, this is what he does. Like, it's felt once in a lifetime. It's unreal, and that's why I need to like constantly be like contextualizing it with like the rest of anime and manga, because like it feels like that kind of thing where like, no, this just literally dunked on everything else that has ever existed. What were you gonna say, Bridget?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the list of mangaka who have actually directed their own work is very short. You just basically listed most of them. Obviously, there's Tezuka, who's like the original. And
that was more of a like, oh wait, no, actually, Astro Boy. Never mind. I was thinking of like when he started his own studio. Anyways, sorry, continue.
Of course, there's Yaz, Yaz is probably the mangaka who has directed the most of their own work as far as like making a manga and then doing the adaptation of it and then saying they should have done it over because the adaptation was bad. He always says that. All of his movies are great. He just needs to learn to like himself. And Monkey Punch. Monkey Punch has directed Lupin specials.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Bree, that I've probably been, like, taking away from, like, the things that you want to say more, but, like, I feel... Do you understand, like, why I feel like it's so important to, like, talk about, like, contextualize?
I don't understand why you feel the need to interrupt me, but I get what you're saying.
Sorry. Go ahead and take back over.
I was just going to say, like, this film genuinely made me start crying actual tears, like, twice. It's a it's a heartstring tugger. It's well written.
I mean, everything with Ryota is fucking heartbreaking.
It is. It's fucking insane. I don't even want to get into the details because I want people who see this to just kind of to be able to just see it. Like, but it's his backstory is just a fucking like, oh my god, like. I
mean, I think we need to talk about like the backstory because the thing with the basketball game is like you more or less like summarized it in your cursory thing. Mm-hmm. Like the first half of the game is very much just like a normal back and forth. Like they're basically neck and neck through the whole thing. And then like they get to the second half and the team that they're playing against, Sano, like they are like the unbeaten team for like the last like decade. Yeah, like they are this like unstoppable force with an incredible coach who is like incredible coach, incredible defense. Yeah, and his older brother wanted to end up like, you know, going against them and beating them. That was like his dream. Yeah, and like the thing that makes it such a hard match for Shohoku is that they are like an offense team. Yeah, like it is the classic like Lakers versus Celtics matchup of like you have like height Lakers with like Kobe and Shaquille O'Neal and everything versus like why am I forgetting the guy from that was like big on the Celtics for a bit? He was in Uncut Gems.
Durant. Kevin Durant? No, Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett,
yes. Like versus like height Kevin Garnett, where it's just like fucking two Rams bashing their skulls like against each other in those games. And like the Sano, the coach, basically once they get to the second half, they're like, okay, y'all have proven that you are good enough to be neck and neck with us. We are just going to run fucking circles around you so hard that we kill your motivation entirely. And they do it by setting up like a very like, this is where me and Evie get into like sports nerd shit. Like they do so by like setting up a like what is kind of a very high risk, high reward play in basketball, which is a full court press, where basically you are sacrificing two of your defensive players to just fucking brick wall whoever like is supposed to be getting the ball down the court on the offense side. Yeah.
And that's where it ties into Ryota's story, because like his whole thing, and like he's kind of like
he's the pipsqueak.
Yeah. He's the little brother, and he is like he's smaller than usual for a point guard, and he has to rely on his ability to just like he has to rely on his agility in order to make things happen. Yeah. And like the full court press, like it shuts him down in a way that like you like they do a good job selling like how much trouble he's having with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shit. I lost track of like where I was going with that. Oh yeah. Just talking about the sports game. So like that full court press just like dead stops like Shohoku's momentum, and Sano gets like a 20-point lead with like 14 minutes left in the game. So they literally have to make up that difference in 14 minutes. Yeah. And, you know, it's the classic underdog story of they managed to pull it off. But the thing that like makes that story's so good is throughout that whole game, it's like pausing at like after moments of tension and showing you like a piece of Ryota's backstory. And yeah, like Evie was describing, he's the little brother character. His brother was like a kid that just had like massive potential as a basketball player, but like, you know, was very much trying to still encourage his Ryota to like, no, you can also be like fucking amazing.
They were so close as brothers. Like their brotherhood together was so just like, you know, he would press him to like improve, and like he'd play those games with him. Like they had that tie over basketball too, where like they would play that together, and that was how they would like bond as brothers.
Like
and
that opening scene of them like just playing one-on-one with one another, where like Sota is like very obviously running circles around Ryota, but you can tell it's like, no, he's just trying to push him to like try and get like the best out of him that he can. And they have that moment at the end of the game where like he's just fucking hugging his brother and being like, you did fucking good, man. Like that was good work there. And it's like,
remember this.
It hurts your soul. Evie, you look like you had a thing to say.
The film does a great job of like portraying Sota as someone who is like, who had these moments like that Ryota just like holds on to, but is just like, his presence is felt constantly, even though like he has long passed by the time most of the events, like by the time pretty much anything in the film has happened.
I mean, oh, sorry, you continue.
No, I mean, like, that's basically it. Just like, it does a great job of like, his brother's presence is felt like throughout the movie.
And it's partially because this is the one detail that we skipped over. Like, we talk about Sota's death, but like we completely like glossed over the fact that like the reason why Sota is such like a foundational member of Ryota's family is because their dad fucking died for some reason or another.
They had to become like the men of the house to like take charge of things and take care of their mother.
And like the first, essentially the first memory that you see from Ryota is like Sota at like the wake for their dad. Like the mom is just like sobbing like on her knees in front of the photo of the dad, and Sota like just walks up and comforts her, basically saying like, okay, we gotta be the man of the house. Like it is literally foundational in the movie. It is the first thing that you get in there is that impression of that. And you know, Sota like made a promise to like go fucking fishing with his little dipshit friends, and you know, Ryota is pissed because he wanted to keep playing one-on-one, and the last thing that he gets to fucking say to Sota is like, he's fucking calling him an idiot and saying like, don't come back.
That fucking like, you know, he's just being petulant because he's like, you said you'd play one-on-one one more round with me, and now you're going fishing with your stupid friends. You suck. I hate you. I hope you don't come back.
And it's the last thing he
says.
And I don't think it really ever, like, I thought about it, like, consciously until, like, right now. And I'm, like, starting to well up, like, thinking about it. Like, that is, like, part of that is like an unspoken part of the buildup. Like that is where you get to like the brevity of the writing in this film, that like Ryota never says shit about like, oh, the last thing, I never got to tell him I love him or something like that.
It's just like you just know because
like you get to that scene later on where Ryota goes back to Okinawa and is like hiding out in that alcove by himself, and he just starts fucking bawling,
just screaming, bawling, like losing it,
and it kills you. Like literally, I remember all four of us watching it, and I'm pretty sure every single one of us was like crying.
No, tears were hitting my pants. Okay, my God. It's
so fucking heartbreaking. And one of those details that I had to point out to you in Ryota's story is like Sota dies and Ryota like is still trying to play basketball. Like it is his thing that is like keeping him going despite all the tragedy in his family. And like his mom and sister are like showing up at the games, and there's like fucking shitty people in the sidelines being like, like,
guess he's not gonna replace his brother.
and the mom is just like, you can tell that she feels bad for Ryota because she probably on some level or another feels like it's putting too much pressure on him, like as a child, to not only be the man in the house, but also fill that brother's shoes. And she's like, okay, you know what? We're at least going to try to, put a bow on the stuff with Sota. We're going to take his stuff. We're going to box it up. We're going to put it away. Like, we're going to start trying to move on from this. And Ryota is like throwing a fit as you would as a kid, like with a sibling that passed.
Yeah.
And one of the most heartbreaking details of that, but something that like kind of made me chuckle in the moment, is when he's initially like pulling on her to make her stop like putting the items in the box. She like kind of like tries like pushing him away, and he like stops and puts his hands up. That's basketball shit. That's you trying not to like get called on a foul. And Bree, you hadn't noticed that. I had to point that out on this
for it. I didn't know.
It's so sad. It's so fucking sad. Like, that's how much basketball is like Ryota's life. Like, even in this like very serious, like dramatic thing where like that whole scene is like very tense because you feel bad for like every side of this tension going on here. Like, you
take that jersey off. You have your own clothes. Like,
oh my god! Like, I felt bad chuckling at like the little like, oh, no touch, no foul, because like immediately after she's like trying to rip the fucking jersey off of him, like,
it's yelling at him.
It's like, this moment of like bordering on like parental abuse.
Yeah,
and like it's, oh my god,
it's just fucking heavy.
Jesus. And like I think it's really good that the film does a great job of like Ryota's story is like really affecting and like really efficiently told, when like some of the other like some of his other teammates, they get kind of like the Cliff Notes version of their story a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm still impressed by how well it like truncates that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and I appreciate that they take Sakuragi, who is like the red-haired guy.
Oh yeah.
That is
he's
the main character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this movie, you might be mistaken, but he is the actual main character.
He has like the bright red hair. I should have known he was the protagonist.
Well, the thing that adds like another layer on it, and I only kind of gathered it like reading reviews of the movie afterwards, is like they essentially like fully flip the character depth, because Sakuragi is the main character in the manga, and apparently like compared to the rest of the cast, Ryota doesn't really get that much to work with over the course of the manga compared to like the rest of the cast.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
like the mangaka literally is making original flashbacks for this movie to give this character more depth than.
Anyway, Bree, you look like you want to move on to another point.
Yeah, one of the biggest points I can make about this is like there are moments where this movie will know how to change the motion direction, like a needle drop an absolute banger of a track at just the right time, stop the audio during times of like really intense, like, just like, oh, something's about to happen, oh, what is this? And just like all these pivotal moments that make you feel the intensity that the film wants to get across on like a visceral level. I remember you and I, like when we rewatched it for notes, we're still at the end holding our breath. We know what happens, but like it just, oh my god, it knows how to like bring you into that tension.
I think that's part of the reason why it becomes so difficult to like discuss the basketball game side of it, because like there's such a like, I hate to use a very overused adjective, but like there's a deeply visceral quality to the basketball game that like gets in you to the point like it feels like watching a really good basketball game, because there will be plays that happen in there that as all of us were watching we were like, get that shit out of here. Like having genuine like sports game like reactions to it, like it's phenomenal how well it does that. Like that's one of my keynotes here as well, Bree, is that like that soundtrack and sound design has like great ebb and flow to it in the same way that the story does. Like it is bouncing back and forth between like silence or minimalist like piano tracks and like just hype electronic and rock stuff. But even
the rock tracks, man.
But even in those like hype tracks, it is still undulating. Like between those high tension moments and like the low tension. And also some of the electronic tracks at points just sound like the like introduction music for like your 1996 Chicago Bulls. Like it's good. No, it's not. But it's the like Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh sure, you get those sports jams.
Like it's so good. It's so fucking good.
Like even just the kind of like little intro, like the title drop like thing where you see them kind of like being sketched in.
That part is so good.
It's fucking like it's such a good like it's I don't know Slam Dunk. I've never read a single panel of Slam Dunk. But as that intro is happening and those dudes are getting sketched in and they're walking towards the camera, all cool. Like those are my dudes. Those are my guys.
Those are my boys.
Like that was another one of my individual notes on there. It's just like the way that those sketches come to life in that opening sequence are like, it's Inoue. What the fuck, man?
What are you doing to me?
What the shit?
Just like, what the fuck?
But returning back to like the rest of the Insulary like cast, like one of my. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bridget.
I want to say with the music, some of the music is by 10 Feet.
I don't know the significance of that.
They did a collaboration with Man with a Mission on a song called Database.
Oh, I see.
They
Database.
They also were on the band Ska Me Forever.
Okay.
God, what a name.
You just wanted to say Ska Me Forever, didn't you?
Yeah, you're right, I did.
Moving on.
But returning to the Insulary characters, like that, I have to talk more about like the flipping the dynamic of like Ryota and Sakuragi, because turning Sakuragi into just like purely comedic relief, best decision they could have made.
Oh yes.
Like it's great. Like just taking his like whole like shonen protagonist like weird savant like genius bullshit and just being like, no, you practically do nothing in this game is like it's perfect.
The moment where he just like suddenly realizes that rebounds are good, like, is very funny. Like,
the fact that like it's done with that like very comic sketch thing where he's basically like a monkey thinking about like opening a coconut with a rock for the first time.
Absolute oath.
What were you gonna say, Bridget? You look like you had a thing there too.
Well, he does do something. He gets a herniated disc.
He sure
yeah,
does.
he fucks himself up real bad.
Going for those stray balls, that man will take any fucking tumble.
But no, yeah, and you get that great joke with him early on where he's like, all right, time to do my ultimate technique, which is just doing like a fake out where you like a pump fake where you just like pump the ball in front of the person's face and then take a shot.
Yeah.
Like
it's so good.
It is a good that is a good maneuver that good basketball players do, but the way that the movie like frames it is purely comedic. So it works wonders in like helping like relieve tension a little bit, but also still get you like really hype with
Yeah.
whatever is happening.
Ryota's fakies are great too. You see him kind of developing that earlier on with that team, where it's just like, why didn't you like just signal that you were passing to me? He's like, because the other team will know. He looks this way, he throws it to the side to the other guy. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's so cool. Just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
whoop,
yeah.
whoop. Gone.
Well, I
Done.
mean, that's also like that is basketball, baby, awoo.
Sure.
Because you have
Your no looks.
what's the name of like the fox guy? He's
Rukawa.
like Rukawa, yes, because you have moments where Rukawa is doing that too.
Sure.
Like passing off, like doing no look passes and everything. Kind of going back to the character discussion and just how late in the game like the story is told from. The only part of it where like I like truly felt that like, okay, no, I don't have a full grasp on these characters is like when you get into like the like purely insulary characters who are like in the like stands, like their friends that are like cheering them on.
Yeah.
That for me is like the one moment where you can tell like, okay, this is an adaptation of an extremely long running thing
Yeah.
that I am just not privy to.
That was a
here.
very funny moment where they're just like they're pointing to themselves and saying what their relationship is. And they're just like friends, sister, rival gang. Like it's just
And like you get enough of little peeks into like the main cast that you get what they mean when they say like rival gang, but like it's still like there's enough of a disconnect that you're like, okay, there's some shit that I just don't know what's going on here. But like you got the stuff with like Gory, like the big gorilla guy on the team that's like really good where
Go to
like,
the dunk!
yeah, he real big fucking dude, but he's got like some kind of definitely like self-esteem issues
Yeah.
because like he has always had like the dream of getting to the nationals, and the team that he was always stuck with was like full of people that just had like no ambition to them. Like there's this one guy on the team that was like his senior that like was always giving him shit for like taking it too seriously. And at a certain point in the game, like he falls on his head, like knocks his own ass out, and like he sees like a vision of that dude as like a little devil that's like giving him shit, being like, stop putting your dreams off on everyone else. And then, you know, he wakes up from that vision, and like the rest of his current team is there being like, no, we got you, get up, like let's fucking go, we are in this is go time. It is amazing what Inoue is able to do with just a profound like sense of brevity in this movie. Like you get that with the big dude, you get that with Rukawa even. Like Rukawa, I would say arguably has like the least to work with.
I got
in
him
that
confused with the other guy, with like the guy we haven't mentioned at all up to this point. We're just like I couldn't figure out which one was which for most of the movie.
Sure.
Yeah, but like Rukawa gets like the least to work with, but like right towards the end, they pull out enough that you're like, oh, okay, he's like the one who wants to be like the Kobe Bryant. He wants to be like that star guy.
Yeah.
And then
And the fifth guy is the one who was briefly a gang leader.
Yeah.
Yes, Mitsui. Not only a gang leader, but like was fucking bullying Ryota. Yeah, and not only that, but there's an earlier flashback with Ryota, like after he's like changed schools and still trying to keep up with the basketball stuff, that like Mitsui is the kid on the basketball court that like tries to encourage him to play. He's like, come on, let's go, let's fucking do this shit. But Ryota like still has like is all fucked up over the death of Soda, that he's like, nope, can't do it, can't do this. And like there's an unspoken like tension between the two of them where like Mitsui essentially has like kind of taken that as a like Ryota putting himself like above Mitsui and thinking that he's like too good to work with him. And there's just this like unspoken like butting of heads that eventually breaks out into a fight.
Yeah.
Between the two of
They
them.
fuck up his sneakers. You don't fuck up a guy's sneakers.
Yeah.
You just don't do it.
That's another one that I had to tell you. Like, you didn't get that, and I had to say, like, it's sneakers. You don't fuck up another...
No, I know you don't fuck up someone's sneakers. I think for me, I was wondering if, like, he was noticing if, like, that was the same one that, like, you know, his older brother wore, or if there was any familiarity there. I was trying to see if there was, like, a plot reason for him really noticing those shoes in particular, but I misread the situation.
Yeah.
But it was just very much that. Just like, I'm gonna fuck up this kid's sneakers. Fuck this kid. Like, oh man.
And then, like, after that fight, like, Ryota's mom is, like, kind of grilling him on the fact that he's, like, getting into fights at school. So Ryota, like, just says, fuck it. Like, and starts, it's time for me to dangerously drive my motorcycle around town.
Yeah.
Which I say in a joking way, but no, he was basically being suicidal.
Yeah.
Like, he is just driving like a maniac, gets into, like, a massive car wreck, and, like, that shot where he's going into the tunnel and it just transitions into, like, the fields of, like, Okinawa's, like,
just glowing, that, like, kind of, that childlike wonder of just, like, putting himself back there.
but also that's his near-death experience.
Yeah.
That is him nearly dying.
Yeah, just like when that happened, like the pit, like the bottom fell out of my stomach, because like it's clear when it's doing
I
there.
thought he was gonna fucking die.
Well, so there's a moment later on in the film where, like, there's one moment that still sticks out to me as, like, I don't know what exactly is, like, happening in this moment in the film. And it's when you're getting some of the, like, more recent flashbacks with Ryota's mom specifically. And it's, like, during the sequence of, like, the letter.
Sure.
That Ryota writes to his
Oh
mom.
my God, that letter.
Jesus fucking Christ. The letter that Ryota... So here's a detail that the movie does not drop on you until, like, basically the very end. Ryota and Soda, they are years apart in age, but they were born on the same exact day. So when they are celebrating birthdays, they are celebrating birthdays together, even after Soda has passed. So literally they have a cake, and it still has, like, the happy birthday Ryota and Sota, even though Soda has passed. And, you know, the sister asks the mom and Ryota, like, how old would Sota be? Can we get, like, a photo of him up? I feel like I'm gonna forget what his face looked like. And that alone is one of those, like, fuck, man, this family still has not been able to move past this. Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, at that question...
Meanwhile, the dad's like, what about me? Everybody forgets about dead dad.
Everyone forgets about dead dad. But as soon as she asks that question, like, Ryota just finishes up his cake, goes to his bedroom, and he starts penning a letter to his mom. And, like, the first draft that he does of it has a line that basically equates to, like, every day on this year, I think about how sorry I am that I'm the one who's alive.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Like, just full on survivor's guilt. Like, Evie, in the way that you described, like, your stomach dropping out at, like, him coming out of the tunnel, that is the moment for me where, like, my stomach dropped. Where
They
it's
both
just
got
like,
me.
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, man. But so you have that, you have, like, it's cutting between him writing the letter and his mom is, like, watching old tapes of, like, Ryota and Soda, like, playing basketball and stuff like that. And then at a certain point in those flashbacks, there seems to be, like, a moment where, like, the sister is, like, over Ryota's body, like, calling for the mom for help for some reason. But I don't feel like that's connected to any specific scene we ever saw in the movie. So,
I think that, like, that might be after he comes home from his, like, accident.
I
I
feel
thought that was the dad.
no, that's Ryota.
Oh.
That is Ryota on the floor. But, like, if it is after the accident, how would he have gotten home?
It would have been like after he gets home, like during his recovery.
Okay.
That's the impression I got at the time. I don't know if it
Like part
right.
part of my brain was like wondering, like, was there another time where like maybe he attempted like on his own life or something like that, and like the sister found him and like was calling for help. Like I genuinely don't know. I'm not sure where that scene falls. But yeah, God, that fucking letter, the going back to Okinawa and going back to Soda's spot, the vision you get of Ryota like revisiting the funeral in his head, where he finally gets to see like the opposite shot. Like he gets to see like Soda's face as he's like waiting on the sidelines to comfort his mother, where you can see Soda crying too.
Yeah.
And like you get Ryota walking up to be like right in line with Soda there, cuts to another angle, and now it's Ryota as he is in the current day, and Ryota is the one that like finally steps forward to be the one that's like there for the mom.
Yeah.
God.
Welling up.
God, it's so good. It's so fucking good. The fact that the mom is doing her best to like disconnect from basketball, to the point that Ryota basically thinks that his mom like hates basketball at this point. But it's just that she's like not wanting that heartbreak of like not being good enough to be the thing that falls into like Ryota's lap. Like she's like lovingly watching those tapes back, and she finally like, I feel like the implication is like this is the first basketball game that she has gone to since like those two were kids.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Is this finals? So like you get like into the last like couple minutes of the game, and she's up in the stands and she's about to yell out for him, and it cuts to like the female coach of the team also being like yelling out for him.
Yeah.
To like go for it. Gambare.
There's something that's elided in the movie that I really like, which is like this isn't even like the finals of the tournament that they're in.
Yeah. This is like just
like,
that region's like finals or something like that.
Yeah, they move on to the next round and lose because Sakuragi isn't there, is what happens. And then like, but it's just like this specific game is just so important to all of them for these various reasons. Like that it's the one that we focus on.
Yeah.
That dream of going against that unbeatable team and like being that big hero and like just being the team that won against them, you know, this just
the one to finally knock them down from the fucking pedestal that they are on.
Like that is the weight. That's all the weight you need.
Which, speaking of the opposing team, like that's the fact that the movie even takes time to eventually build character for like their star player in there. I can't remember the dude's name, but like you eventually get a flashback for him where it's like right before the game, and he's going up to like a temple up in the mountains, and he's like praying, just saying like, you know, I feel like I have done everything I can in my basketball career. You know, please give me whatever experience you feel like I need. And the heavens look down on him and say, you have to eat this L.
You have to hold this.
You need a thick slice of humble pie, motherfucker. You
God
need a
looked down
loss.
and said, "Eat shit, my son."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, actually, yes. That the fact that the movie takes time to, in a story about overcoming odds, like takes a moment to also address the audience and say, but also losing is an equally important thing.
Yeah.
Like it is not always about winning. It is also about taking the loss and like the importance of like the spiritual importance of failure on top of like success.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And God, can we talk about like the last play of the game and just how?
God.
So we've been talking about mostly Ryota's backstory, but like finally at a certain point, after having that 20-point disadvantage that they're at in the second half, eventually they're able to, like, because of the coach finally teaching Sakuragi, like, hey, rebounds are good, do that.
Yeah.
Like, they're able to get back a little bit.
I just want to note that coach, like the main coach, the weird cartoonish.
Yeah,
The large old man.
Yes.
He is voiced by Dr. Eggman.
That is awesome. They have the same glasses.
Awesome.
Mike Pollock.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
But no, yeah, they finally are able to catch back up, and not only catch back up, like they're able to catch back up to the point that they are within striking distance. Like they are down to like the last minute and a half, and
they are neck and neck like a goddamn giraffe.
Yes,
and like just
they get a playoff that is like finally takes them above Sano, and they're like, fuck yeah, we did that shit. Yeah. But there's still 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
So, like, you get this amazing sequence where, like, Sano has possession of the ball. One of their team members is, like, getting ready to go in for, like, that last drive. Like, you can tell he's kind of trying to drag things out as you would in those... Yes, go ahead, Bridget.
We should also point out, like, at this point, the herniated disc has happened, so, like...
Sakuragi can't, like, really move all that well.
Yeah, he's, like, on borrowed time, essentially.
Yes.
He's like, this is probably the end of my career. I gotta make this shit count.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sano is, as you do in like if you are the last team to have possession in basketball and it's a really neck and neck game, you are going to try and hold on to that ball for as long as you can.
Yeah.
To make sure
to
the
run out
other
the clock.
Yes, exactly. So Sano is doing that, and you know, it's just this slow motion shot, like achingly slow motion.
Yeah,
of him,
the audio drops out into like a like slowed audio sound effect where you just kind of see the drop of sweat coming
off of Ryota, and like as soon as the bead of sweat like pops off of his chin, the movie just breakneck like
fast forward effects with like a tape fast forwarding sound effect, and then sudden slows to show what's going on in those moments of just like the way that's directed. Like that whole scene is just you and I both holding our fucking breath.
It's masterfully again, it perfectly captures that feeling of watching like a game that is like has been like amazing, and you're like on the edge of your seat for every single play that happens. And like you are at the end, and like every like shift in momentum feels like it's like just hitting you like a punch out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like
they're the tiniest bit ahead, then the fucking rival school dunks on them, gets a point ahead of them, but then just in the last fucking minute, that last fucking few seconds with their speediest guys.
Well, no, like, it's not simply that, it's that like, because there's even more that happens. So
yeah,
Sano scores on them, is up 1 point again, and you know, you get slow motion of the ball going in, slow motion of Sano like celebrating, like everyone on that team is like, all right, we fucking got it, we won this shit. And literally as soon as the ball is hitting the ground, Sakuragi is like booking it for the other end of the fucking court. Big Gordy like gets the ball and just chucks that shit across, because they know like they need to do this now.
Yeah,
like this needs to happen.
The last few seconds tick down,
but there still ends up being back and forth because he tries going for a shot, rebounds, like he doesn't hit it. One of the guys on Sano gets the ball and tries to go score again, and you get one of my favorite line reads I think I've ever had in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Where like the dude is going for like a dunk, and you just hear Sakurage quietly say, "Kase." Which basically just translates to "give it back."
Yeah.
And you see him grabbing the basketball from him midair and like booking it back down the field.
Yeah.
Like just these incredible moments of like catch and release in the speed of the film. And, you know, eventually they are able to, you know, get that last basket that they need. And you painstakingly see that shot. Like
He makes the shot, it hits 0. This thing has to go in.
Yeah.
And you're watching this thing just slowly, like the best rendered basketball you've ever seen animated, slowly working its way.
I want to point out that like there's a little bit of a comedic effect to it because like Sakurage like is basically just like a fucking like hoodlum who like happened into basketball. So like they have a sequence just a little bit earlier where like they're showing bits and pieces of the training montage for him. Like he's only been playing for 4 months. So literally it's a big deal that he's learned how to shoot a proper 2-pointer.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the least impressive things that you can do in basketball, just shooting a 2-pointer. So like it does that. And in that last moment, the winning shot is him just getting the ball and getting that simple 2-pointer in. And there's a little bit of comedy to like him being like, "Don't worry, I got this. I can do this elementary school shot."
Yeah.
But yeah, the painstaking millisecond by millisecond drop of the ball going arching into the basket and making it. And once it gets in there, like him and Rukawa like looking at each other, walking towards each other, brief pause, and both of them just being like, "Fuck yeah," high-fiving at that last moment.
Yeah, it's just like the stadium is like they hit the shot and like it's stone silent for like, until they high five and then everyone just explodes.
Yeah, like no one can believe what just happened, and that's that little tension break of just like, got it.
Like, what a phenomenal fucking movie. I cannot praise this movie enough. It is maybe one of the best animated movies that I have like seen in years.
I could not take my fucking eyes off this movie for its entire runtime just because of the direction, the music, the pacing, just how everything took place, the story, the animation. I'm wanting to know what's happening next. Like, I was entranced. I feel like most movies, even some great movies, there's moments where your eyes can wander. Not me, bitch. I'm looking at this just like, what the fuck's gonna happen? What's going on? Why is it so pretty when nothing's even happening? Oh my god. Like, I want to know what's happening. Because, like, and that's the other thing, too, is that, like, just, the story, the direction, everything about this movie is incredible, but even if just for the fucking animation, listen, if you don't care about basketball, I don't either. I'm not good at sports ball. I'm bad at that. I don't know anything about it. But for those 2-hour runtime of this film, ball was the most important thing in the world.
Ball was, in fact, life.
Yeah, it was life. And more important to me than anything was I had to see this team win. I had to see them fucking like, oh my god, it's so engagingly intense and beautiful, and just I think this might be like the best animated film I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, well, like, I'll say, speaking as someone who, when it comes to sports, basketball probably is like my top one, that if I can sit down and watch a game like actually intently, it is basketball. Sure. Like, probably more so than any other sport, I think. Evie, as the other like more sports person here, would you agree, or like where does basketball fall for you generally?
I end up like, I don't know, it's tough because like I never seek out sports on my own, but like I have watched a lot of basketball because it is my father's favorite college sport, and so like I've seen a lot of it. And I do think, like, it captures the like you said, the feeling of like watching a really great game, like that you just can't take your eyes off of. The way that it does it in a way that like you couldn't do it, like it has to be animated to depict it this way. Like it's really remarkable. And like if you don't give a shit about animation and you mostly just care about basketball, you should watch this movie.
Yeah,
The inverse works too.
like I'll say I think I amongst the group probably have the closest connection to basketball because
Think so,
I grew up in Los Angeles at like the height of the Lakers dynasty. So
sure.
like in the same way that watching this movie, you can kind of tell that Inoue, when making Slam Dunk, had a massive boner for like the Chicago Bulls, like at their height with Jordan and everything. Like the fucking jerseys are the red, black, and white of the
Yeah,
Chicago
they're just the Bulls
Bulls.
jerseys.
Yeah.
You can feel that like that wonder and amazement you have at seeing like either a new dynasty or a like reigning dynasty of a sports team. Like where you're just like, holy shit, I cannot believe that like athletes can perform on this kind of a level.
Yeah.
Like it captures that feeling very,
And it
very
does
well.
that like for a high school basketball game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
it's
like-
fucking. We haven't said that. It's high school basketball. It's not even college basketball.
And I think because of that, like it really captures like how, and like there's a line from Sakuragi during like that towards the end of the movie where the coach is like talking to him and it's just and this is after he's hurt his back. And the coach is like, I thought about not pulling you out of the game. I would have regretted doing that. Like, I almost failed as a coach by not
Taking you out.
Yeah, by like not considering your well-being first and foremost.
Yeah.
And Sakuragi is like, Coach, when did you peak?
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the moment for me right now. And that is the whole movie, as far as I'm concerned. Like, it is just like, this is why this game matters so much to these people. And even though it's like high school basketball, granted, like, it's anime high school basketball, but like, it is like, it captures like why they would like be so driven and so like why their whole heart is inside of playing this game.
That's what Inoue nails so well with the characterization of everyone, despite like the majority of the cast like really being drilled down to, like you were saying, Evie, the Cliff Notes version of them is like on paper you can see how it's so important to each one of them in like a single sentence, basically. Like with Gori, it's like he has always wanted to get to the Nationals. By the end of the movie, you see him come to that realization of like, no, I'm already living out my dream. This is already like the most important thing in the world to me. Rukawa, he's getting his one-on-one with the player who's like considered the number one dude in like Japanese high school basketball. I almost said it again.
Basketball.
With
Different movie.
Yeah,
yeah, very different movie.
Yeah.
With Mitsui, like you got him like pushing his limits, being like, who the fuck do you think I am? Like we really did not talk about him all that much. Like
No.
he spends like the most of the movie like fucking exhausted, like just because he's been doing nothing but trying to like go for threes and everything. And there's a point at which like he's like just in a haze and being like, this person is this person, this person is this person, who am I? And then it turns into more of like an affirmation, like, no, say my fucking name. Look at the shit that I can do.
Yeah.
Like, just truly, Mitsui feels like someone like pushing his limits, like seeing just how far he can like push himself as a person. Sakuragi being like, I'm basically a fluke of a basketball player, so like, yes, right now is it, right here, right now.
Yeah.
And then Ryota, like, as the movie most elegantly fleshes out is like, this was my brother's thing. I am carrying on my brother's legacy through this game.
We're going to
we are
carry
doing.
it through.
Yeah. And I think that is really what points to just how well done or how well written this film is.
Yeah.
That it can truncate all that so well. But yeah, I feel like final thoughts, unless there's other like little ancillary details we want to point
I
to.
just want to know that, like, the movie's also very good at being silly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It knows how to throw a pie.
It's
you know?
very funny.
Like, that's the thing that I talk about
even-
is, anything serious needs to have some pie throwing. You gotta have a pie in there.
Like, even towards the end, like, you have, like, the big guy on the other team who, like, does a jump up, and Subaragi is also up with him, but he's like, wait,
You're
why
still
are
up
you-
here.
Why are you here?
What?
Yeah.
Well,
You're
I
not
mean,
supposed to be up here.
like it's a hype moment, but like when Sakuragi says like Kase and gets the ball back, it's hype, but it's also very funny. Just to be like, hey, give it back.
Give me that. Get that shit out of here. Yeah, it's...
All right.
Oh, my lord. But
Bree,
yeah.
final thoughts, or have you basically said your final thought?
I mean, that's basically it. And like me and Evie kind of pointed it out, from any direction, there are a million reasons to watch this film. I expected it to be like, from what I'd heard about it, I was like, this is going to be a good watch. Like, this is going to be like some pivotal, like pretty good anime. I didn't know how much this film would impact me, how much it would mean to me, and how much it would make me feel, and like how good it was going to be. I didn't know, but if you're going to watch anything animated, like, watch this. Like you gotta, this is, like you were putting out, Jay, like one of those, like, this feels like a very special thing that you gotta see it. It's just really, really good. And I'm going in probably overhyping it, but I'm just saying it's, like, not overhyped, but I'm saying I don't want to oversell something, but I'm saying, like, just go watch this.
Yeah.
If I can recommend any film in the world, like right now in this moment, like go see this film.
Well,
this is so, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, and I expected it to be pretty damn good.
Like that is a very fair point of like potentially overselling it. That like my main like takeaway from that movie really was that like it felt like watching Akira for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, Akira is, this might be a hot take, I don't think Akira is the greatest animated movie of all time.
It's not.
However, Akira is one of those films that you watch and it feels special.
It was an event in history.
Partially because it's one of those movies that, like, anyone who's like an animation buff points to it and says, like, there's never going to be another movie that looks like this ever again. Like, Akira is like a standout animated movie in that sense.
It would forever change the way that any animation stops a bike.
Sure.
You know?
And I would say that Slam Dunk has that same feeling to it, where even if you walk away from that movie being like, this is not the greatest thing I've ever seen, there's such a specialness to the level of craft that you see on display throughout the course of it that, like, it feels like it is an important thing that you should watch.
You see it and you're like, I'm different now.
Yeah.
I'm the me who saw that, you know?
Evie, final thoughts?
I mentioned him, but we haven't talked much about the coach. I love the coach.
The coach,
I think
Coach is fun.
he's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, just like, especially like compared to the Sano coach, who is just like visibly an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
He sucks.
But yeah, like I think I've said all I can say about this movie. Movie's good. Go watch it.
Yeah.
All right, and then as the person picking the next movie, Bridget, final thoughts?
This is definitely was a good movie. I don't know if I personally would give it like 5 stars. I'd give it 4, and I definitely do want to own the Blu-ray of this. I will say, to me, Dragon Ball Super Broly is probably Toei's like best animated thing they've done in the past 10 years as far as like animation.
I actually missed that one when y'all were watching it too, so I gotta be
We've
fair,
never
I haven't
watched
seen
it.
Yeah, we
Nobody
haven't watched
here
that
has
one.
watched
Oh, that's
it
the one you haven't
besides
seen.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right out.
I saw that in theaters. Fuck, that was hype.
Sure.
It's really impressive for a CG anime movie, which is saying a lot because, like, largely anime CG has not improved to like this level. And in fact, you probably will not see another animated movie like this for a good bit. Except maybe from Toei or Orange.
Orange is like the one exception to 3D animation, like looking bad in anime.
But yeah, in general, 3D mocap, doing this sort of thing, like, doesn't look this good right now. But here it did, and that's part of what makes, I think, so special.
Just look up the recent Prince of Tennis CG movie if you want to see.
We don't have to talk about that. It's so embarrassing. I've only seen the clip because Bridget showed it to me, and it's so embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing. Yeah, it definitely is neat and effectively tells its story without you really needing to experience the manga, which is sort of like the pitfall for a lot of these type of things. It did a good enough job. Obviously, we don't have full stories of a lot of the cast, but that's why it focuses on one member particularly to use that as the base of the story. And it is, for a first time director, he knocked it out of the park.
That's a different sport, but
Yeah. No, yeah. I think that's the other thing to really...
this film was a slam dunk.
That's the other thing that's been, like, deeply understated is, like, for Inoue's first fucking movie...
When I heard that first, I was like, what are you saying?
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, even Miyazaki had, like, a couple of movies before Nausicaa.
Yeah.
And did Otomo have stuff before Akira? Or was that his first thing?
I mean, he worked on stuff in Robot Carnival. Robot Carnival technically has the first appearance of Akira in it as like a cameo before.
But like, yeah, even Otomo like technically has experience in like film animation before Akira. But this is Inoue's as far as we know, first ever foray into it, and it's deeply impressive.
Yeah, like I was trying to think off the top of my head, the only one I can think of who has like been working in anime and only just relatively recently actually gotten to direct films. But she had a head start, and that's like Mario Okada, where she got to direct and write, which she's now done twice, which is very impressive. But yeah, it's a good film. You should watch it if you like sports or don't.
Well, Bridget, you're next up. What do you got in store for us?
What do I have in store? So I was thinking for a bunch of things. At first, I thought I was going to have to use my wild card to get to anywhere, and then...
At the beginning of the fucking year?
Well, we haven't even hit the reset button yet.
Oh, that's right. We haven't hit yeah.
But also, it's an anime movie. There's voice actors in there.
Before Brie picked her anime...
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And so I thought about possibly doing Gundam Reconquista in G. That might be the actual wild card. The final wild card, we'll have to see.
Uh-huh.
There are definitely some other options. I still need to see a few anime movies, and they did connect. So these two films had the same recording artist. The person who did the recording. And so I am going to pick a historical drama. That's right, Yume Penguin Monogatari. No, it is a story about athleticism and racing. It's a sports show, I guess you could call it. And it is at, I think technically the...
Finish your thing!
Brie was like doing a hand motion. I wasn't sure what it was.
She's telling you get on with it.
It is called Uma Musume Pretty Derby, Beginning of the New Era. And
Fucking called it.
The recording artist is Yashui Nagura, and he did the recording for both.
I feel like I need to at this point give some context to this.
Yeah.
We may have mentioned it on the podcast before. Every time it comes around to one of Bridget's choices, she will have something that she usually is immediately like, ooh, I should pick that. However, she pussyfoots for like the full 2 weeks between recordings being like, ooh, but I found this thing, but also I found this thing. And I've realized at this point, no, the first thing you mention is always the thing you pick.
Wow.
And so she kept talking about different movies and I was like, you're just gonna pick Uma Musume. I know you are. Don't try to bullshit me.
She did call it, it's true.
I did.
I mean, I don't feel like this time I was like flip-flopping between stuff.
You were playing coy about it.
Of course, I always play coy about it, but I was...
Yeah, she didn't give me like... There was not... I don't think any other movies were really on the table, aside from Reconquista, which, you know, she may still do sometime. Who knows?
For sure. Well,
yeah, it was one of those things where the reason why is because I'm like, I'm never going to have another option to like actually connect this, and it's more funny to do it through legitimate means.
for sure. Well... Next time around, it's
off to the races with us.
Get your horse betting clothes on. We're doing.
There's no
Uma
betting
Musume.
in the Uma Musume universe.
Bullshit. Bullshit. There's no way there's not betting in there.
Officially
They're
sanctioned.
literally horses.
So anyway, I'm Brie. I can be found over on my usual VTubing over on twitch.tv/easybreezytv. However, I now as an artist also finally have a VGen because I'm fancy like that. So you can now find me and commission me and see all of my artwork at vgen.co/asnesbo, ASNESBO.
For sure. Bridget, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Squatchless Twitch.
Twitch.tv/Squatchless.
You can find me there. And then I guess on Blue Sky. You can find me streaming hot games like The Thing or Team Innocent, Point of No Return for the PCFX.
Or Gubble. Evie, where can they find you on the internet if they can?
I guest on Bridget's streams occasionally. I may be guesting on one of Bree's streams here in a minute. Probably after that. This episode will probably come out after that happens.
Oh, 100%.
So don't worry about it. I'm
noticed,
nowhere.
yeah.
I am somewhere, but I'm not going to tell you where.
You have to
However,
find her. It's an RNG.
However, you can
Not
find...
RNG. What's the name of that? Where
ARG.
It's like
ARG.
ARG.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very different. Go ahead.
However, you can find the podcast at putitontheList.bsky.social, putitontheList.neocities.org, Wife City Productions on youtube.com, Please follow us, subscribe, share us with your friends, leave us a rating on whatever podcast network you may consume us through, which is all major podcast networks.
Ask us questions, put on a hat, have a parfait, go get boba, eat Thai food. If you had Thai food in a
Send
while,
us
you
your-
should order in some Thai
Take
food.
a kickboxing class.
Yes.
Send us your questions at wifecitygaming@gmail.com.
That's right.
Take
Send
Brazilian
all your
jiu-jitsu,
horse
eat
girl
a
related
bagel,
questions.
do yoga, buy a phone, invest in small artists, shop local.
All right, everyone, have a good night.
Eat a cat. Sell your
Thanks
horse.
for listening.
Buy a bunch
Bye,
of plastic
everyone.
things.
Bye.
Destroy several.
Look forward to the horse
pawns.
Nipa.
What we've used connected by cast or crew, deciding the next film, that's the gist. Put it on the list.
The anime arc is really testing me here. Because, like, usually, like, we haven't been watching that much anime for the podcast, and so, like, it's not a big deal that, like, I'm mostly watching anime with Bridget. We're watching anime when we're hanging out. But now it's just, like, anime on top of anime on top of anime, anime.